In this video, we're going to explore the worst playthrough ever of Kingdom Come Deliverance, where I unleash hell and make every single bad decision in the game. But this run will be slightly different than my other worst playthroughs. Typically, I try to follow the boundaries of the quests and avoid killing NPCs unless it is a defined outcome for the mission. But you see, a few of these quests didn't quite turn out exactly as planned, leading to some unintended killing that ended up being worse than I could have imagined. So even in the botch jobs, we achieved the worst scenarios that I could cook up. While the main story in Kingdom Come Deliverance is relatively linear, Henry does have a lot of leeway to fuck up people's lives along the way, particularly in side quests. And while some NPCs have plot armor, many others will fall afoul of our rat bastard protagonist. But that's enough preamble, so without further ado, let's buckle up, grab some iced coffee, and dive into the video.
With an attitude like that, you must be popular around here. I wonder how quick your neighbours would be to help you if you needed it. I wonder what they'd do if your house should happen to catch fire.
What?
And if you happen by chance to be locked inside.
What are you implying, boy? Shall I go and get my pitchfork?
Usually I say creating a truly evil bastard starts with character creation, but since Kingdom Come Deliverance has a preset protagonist, Henry of Skalitz, we'll just have to shape him ourselves into the bastard of Bohemia. Sadly, I couldn't get a haircut and make my protagonist bald right at the beginning of the game, but we'll fix that when we reach our first bathhouse in Talmberg. The opening of Kingdom Come Deliverance is relatively linear, as we go through the tutorials and run errands for our father. We do get the opportunity to stir up some mayhem by throwing shit at some dude's house, so of course I took that option.
Maybe you'd like to try out the latest German fashion.
After the Cumin horde ransacks the town and kills our parents, we hightail it over to Talmberg. But before we escape, we notice a band of brigands descending on poor Theresa's house. Damn, homie, you think I should save her? Nah, I barely know that bitch. One of the funniest things I noticed in this game is that even if you don't try and rescue Theresa at the beginning, you can still lie to other NPCs and pretend that you rescued her.
I had Sir Radzig's sword, and even though there were several of them, and they were better armed, I had to try and save her. I wanted there to be at least one person I'd helped, and I succeeded, even though it almost cost me my life. After that, I stole a horse from them and rode off.
Really?
Hey, she's got that plot armor and makes it out of Skalitz anyway, so we might as well take credit and steal that valor. After coming to Talmberg, Henry gets put on lockdown and is forbidden from returning to Skalitz to bury his parents. But hilariously, one of the quickest ways to get out of Talmberg is to get arrested and go to jail, which is only the beginning of Henry's crime spree. After getting ganked by Runt and his crew back in Skalitz, we get brought to Ratai and nursed back to health by Theresa. So naturally, we show our appreciation.
But right now, I have more important things to do.
That's all you have to say? After everything we've done for you? Well, do as you see fit.
Henry's got bills to pay, so before we can set off in our search for our father's sword, we pick up a job from the Ratai Guard. Surely, Henry will have some empathy while resolving conflicts among the townsfolk.
I'd like to know why. I've got a right to be here.
No one asked for your opinion. You'll end up in the stocks if you're not careful.
Good man, please don't drive me away.
Not another word. Clear off.
Wait, I know you. You're Henry, the blacksmith's boy from Skalitz. Your father would be ashamed of you treating a neighbor like that.
Now you've done it. How dare you talk about my father, you bitch. Get lost. Get the hell out of here. Go.
I'm going.
Be quick about it, or I'll haul you off by the feet with your snout dragging in the mud.
Jesus.
Didn't you overdo it a bit?
Me? You were yelling at her too.
This really sets the tone for Henry's personality in this playthrough. One of the first major side quests we undertake is for the executioner of Ratai, a man named Herman. He's been besieged by a widow who's moved into his house after he ganked her late husband. Herman asks us to locate some family for the woman Alishka, but as it turns out, Homeboy has a crush on her and secretly wants to marry her. We have two ways we could end this quest. We can convince Alishka to stay with Herman, which leads to a cute little cutscene. Or we could send Alishka packing to her hard-ass in-laws, leading to a miserable ending for both NPCs.
Herman,
Yes?
Farewell. And thank you for everything.
No need to thank me. I'm glad I had a chance to get to know you. Promise me you'll take care of yourself. You deserve a better life. Promise me.
I promise.
Farewell, Alishka.
I'm sorry, Herman.
That's all right, Hal. I suppose she'll be better off.
But the executioner's misery won't end there, as you'll discover later in this video. Back to the main story, after going hunting with Hans and rescuing him from a human camp, Henry goes off to investigate an attack on the Neuhof stud farm. Our sleuthing puts us in touch with a man named Ginger, who recognized some of the bandits that led the attack. My goal for this mission was to leave the bandits alone and lie to Ginger about taking care of them, which I did. But unfortunately, the bandits are too retarded to track him down on their own, so I just watched as Ginger walked all the way back to Neuhof unscathed. I even got attacked by a separate group of bandits myself, but they only targeted me and left him alone. It seems there's no way for Ginger to die in this mission, which is not the case for some other characters we'll meet later as we track down the bandits. Our next lead is a man with a limp in Ujits, but that dude has the opposite of plot armor. So we need to gain information from the local priest, Father Godwin, to proceed with this quest. I failed the speech check with Godwin, which is actually awesome because it leads to you getting drunk with the priest until you get thrown out of the club. Unfortunately, I accidentally killed one of the drunk dudes during the subsequent bar fight, so Godwin refused to reveal any more information to me.
You'll get what you deserve. Just you wait. The righteous will rise even though they fall 7 times. I will. I wish my head would stop spinning.
I ended up having to go to the bailiff to get another lead on the main story, but not before I got thrown in prison first. Our next big choice is the fate of Reeky, one of the bandits from the Neuhof raid. Reeky is hiding in a cave on the outskirts of Ledechko, and there are 2 bad endings to this quest. First, if we don't find Reeky within a few days of getting the quest, the bandits will arrive first and kill him. This is what happened to me on my first playthrough. However, if you show up before the bandits, you can convince Reeky to go fight them with you. Sadly for Reeky, I just hid behind a rock and let the bandits do their work on him. You got this, buddy. Okay, maybe you don't got this. Our next lead is the dim-witted Timmy, who is hiding out on a random farm out in the countryside. We learn his whereabouts from his sister, and immediately afterwards get confronted by a group of bandits, led by a dude named Moorcock. Come on, man, Moorcock? I see the Warhorse devs also have a juvenile sense of humor like me. The good guy move is to throw the bandits off Timmy's trail, or you could just sell him out instead.
He's at the Colburn's farm.
Right back where he started. Are you yanking my pizzle?
I'm sure they're just gonna have a friendly chat with him, right, Moorcock?
Giving up over.
After watching Timmy get ganked, we decide to make a detour back to Ratai before taking on the bandits. Sir Hans Capon wants to have a party at the Bathhouse and invites Henry to tag along. There's actually some unique dialogue here too if you get into the bath without taking your gear off.
Oh, that feels good. Is there a reason you're dressed for the occasion? You're not a maid under all those clothes, are you?
Lord Almighty, this is a bathhouse, not a laundry.
While running off to fetch wine for Hans, I ended up getting confronted by Miller Peshek's goons, who demanded payment for the herbalist treatment we received earlier in the game. But even after defeating the first 2 guys, I was immediately confronted by 2 more goons who knocked me out, causing me to fail Hans's quest. So I ended up reloading a save and paying back Peshek so I could finish our business at the Bathhouse. After watching Hans nearly get drowned by a Dusty, I convinced him to put the man in the stocks the next day.
What will you do with him, Sir Hans?
What, with arson balls? I don't know. What do you think I should do with him?
You're asking me what you should do with the lunatic who tried to drown you?
Well, he was a bit drunk and jealous.
And he tried to kill you? And then me? It's your decision. But if word gets round that Lord Capon let an insult like that go unpunished...
I suppose you're right. Well, a day in the stocks never killed anyone. Might do him good.
One other major side quest in Ratai is called Acquarius, where Henry has to select some of the Skalitz refugees for menial labor jobs in the town. I strive to maximize the worst outcomes by picking the worst candidates for the gigs. If you don't give Antonia a job, then she won't have enough funds to save her sick husband's life. Also, Theresa will be very mad at you.
I'd like to ask a favor of you, Hal.
Of course. What is it?
I heard you're picking people to carry water. No one needs the job more than Antonia.
Adam never mentioned any Antonia.
I'm not surprised, but Antonia really needs that job.
Can she cook?
What's that got to do with carrying water?
Nothing, but there's a cook's job going too. Much easier than hauling water.
I don't know how good a cook she is, though. You'd better ask for yourself.
Do you think she'll be able to handle carrying those buckets? It's quite far, and up that hill.
She's no princess. She's tough enough.
Well, it's just if I recommend somebody who's not fit for the job, I'll be the one who has problems.
And what's the worst that can happen to you? A telling off? Suit yourself, but I won't forget it.
I also chose to give the shit-cherrying job to Vincent, and according to the KCD wiki, Theresa will tell you later that Vincent deleted himself because he hated the job so much. But for some reason, I never unlocked this dialogue option, so I can't say for sure. For Lady Stephanie's quest, I picked all the bad options, putting the fake gem in the crown, stealing the wine, and not telling her how to calm down the horse. But these choices didn't seem to make any difference, and Henry still banged her at the end of the quest. At this point, we mount a raid on the bandit camp at Pribyslavitz with Sir Radzig. Henry gets his revenge on Runt, showing that he is king of the Balds in Bohemia. And our next quest sees us investigating another bandit raid on the town of Merhojed. After repelling the bandits, many of the townsfolk ended up getting sick, and Henry is tasked with trying to find a cure for the plague. But of course, true to form, Henry neglects this task by choosing to offload all the work onto Brother Nicodemus and telling him the wrong symptoms. So in the end, the entire town ends up dying from the pestilence.
I came to ask how things are looking with that pestilence, but I can see something's not right.
Pestilence. Pestilence. Seems like long ago.
Melikar, what exactly happened?
It all happened so quick, Henry. First they got better after taking that potion you gave them for a few days, and then one evening they got the fever again. By morning I was nearly the last one left.
Jesus Christ. I'm sorry.
Aye. What can you do?
We also end up failing to help the Skalitz refugees for Johanka at the Monastery, and Johanka gets big mad about it.
How are the sick and wounded faring? I don't think there's anything more I can do for them.
Anything more? All that's left now are corpses. Go! Get out of here!
How are you getting on?
How do you think? Badly, that's how. Since you let us down, if you must know.
Oh. What's happened?
You promised to help me with the wounded. And what happened with that? A lot of good people died because of you. And don't even get me started on the poor wretches in Merhojed.
Sorry, Johanka. The only Skalitz folk we'll be helping are the layabouts Matthew and Fritz. We get them a job at a local mill, but things don't work out so great as they end up starting beef with one of their co-workers. So naturally, we decide to teach the guy a lesson in a 3v1 beatdown.
Hey.
Now listen up. You best start treating your workers better unless you want a repeat of this.
Yeah.
If I hear one more word of complaint about you, I'll kick you from here to Talmberg and back.
You wait there. I'll...
You'll what? Get the shit beaten out of you again?
Bastards!
Maybe. But remember, from now on, that mill's gonna be as peaceful as a cloister on Easter Sunday.
Old Thomas is actually kind of a piece of shit as well, so it's debatable whether this is the worst ending, but it is the most consistent with Bald Henry's thuggish character, so that's what we're going with. But Matthew and Fritz aren't done with their schemes yet, eventually hatching up a plan to steal wages from the Talmberg quarry workers. We can go along with this plan and make the whole crew rich, or we can take all the money for ourselves and frame all the homies.
I know who's behind the robbery.
What? Who the f*** is it?
Andrew, the innkeeper at the inn in the glade, along with Fritz and Matthew. They keep company with him.
Them! The bastards! How do you know? Do you have any proof?
I overheard something in the alehouse. The money is sure to be locked up somewhere there.
If what you say is true, there'll be hell to pay. I'll tell you that.
Hey guys, how's it hanging?
So many plots and intrigues, and nothing remains but dead bodies.
One other questline that ends in disaster is the side activities we can run for the old whore at the inn. If we complete all her series of tasks, then she ends up murdering her ex-husband and his new wife.
Have you seen a worn-out old whore who usually stands outside here?
She disappeared yesterday and hasn't been back since. I heard her former husband was found dead at home with his balls chopped off and his wife strangled and her eyes scratched out. And the house ransacked and robbed.
Oh, fuck.
They say it looks like a butcher's yard there. No one can say for sure if the old bitch had anything to do with it. But I'll wager the shirt on my back, you won't be seeing her around here again.
We can actually confirm this is true by returning to the farmstead, where we find a bloody scene. Back in the main story, we end up killing Ulrich the Knight during our investigation into the counterfeit coins. After reporting back to our leadership, we pick up another side quest from Hans. He wants us to dress well for a meeting with Sir Hamish, but instead we get drunk and remove all of our gear.
So, should we go then?
Let's go. And by the way, what on earth have you got on? Good God almighty. You look even worse than before. Damn it. There's no time to change now. Let's go.
Sir Hamish tasks Henry and Hans to track down a disgraced lord who's been ransacking the countryside. After locating their camp, we underreport their troop strength to Captain Bernard and watch his forces get completely routed in the aftermath.
Unfortunately, we couldn't avoid a skirmish.
Where's Hans? I hope he's not...
There's no need to worry, my lord. Lord Capon's alive and well, but we had several casualties. Wolflin hit us hard.
And Bernard?
He made it. He's trying to round up the men to retreat back here.
So that bastard Wolflin's cheated death again?
It looks that way.
Crucifix! That whoreson! The devil take him! Though he probably already has.
During the Waldensians side quest, Henry decides to rat out the supposed heretics and turn them over to the church. In my eyes, this is the worst choice because the primary reason the Catholic Church declared the Waldensian sect heretics is due to the fact that they wouldn't recognize the authority of the rigid church hierarchy. But anyhow, speaking of ruining lives, we get another side quest from Ratai's executioner. He recently got snubbed for a big public execution, so he asks Henry to help make a fool of the Kuttenberg executioner by sabotaging the event. I ran into a snag during this quest. I was initially planning to complete this whole playthrough while keeping Henry illiterate, but sadly, he had to learn how to read so I could get the worst outcomes for this quest. This will also help later during the monastery, but it killed my dream of having Henry be a completely illiterate thug for the duration of the playthrough. Anyhow, there are two main ways to get the worst ending for this quest. The first is to either do nothing, or to sabotage the Kuttenberg executioner's instruments, but then snitch on Herman before the execution.
Listen, I thought you'd want to know. Herman, the Ratai executioner, is hatching a plot against you.
Hat nobody? Let him hatch.
But he can...
He could do whatever he likes. It makes no difference to me. And don't come bothering me again with your stupid stories.
It's more than a story. He's already done something.
What? What's he done?
He took the edge off your sword.
That bastard! Thanks for the warning. Here's your 30 pieces.
He switched your rope for a rotten one.
That bastard! And of course, something for the Judas.
He poisoned your ripping tongs.
That bastard! And here's something for you. After all, treachery should be rewarded.
In this case, the execution goes on without a hitch, and Herman is extremely pissed at Henry.
Didn't you say it was going to be a fiasco?
Well,
You cheated me, you weasel. I won't forget that.
Our second option is to select the wrong punishments. If you select burning at the stake for Frost Herald and dragged by horses for George Weiss, then Herman will give you 2 objectives which won't actually impact the executions. And in this case, if you also fail to dull the executioner's sword, then every punishment will go off without a hitch, and Herman will be pissed at you same as before. Damn bro, we cost him his woman and his job in the end. It's so over, bro. Our next major side quest sees us tracking down a gang of poachers for the Talmberg huntsman, Nicholas. We eventually discover that the havoc is being caused by the previous huntsman, a man named Hare. Supposedly, Hare was framed for murder and run out of town many years ago. I'm not 100% sure that Hare is actually innocent, since it's just his word against everyone else's. But in my opinion, the worst choices for this quest are to attempt to arrest Hare, in which case you have to kill him, or bring the town guards to kill him and all the poachers. Nicholas is a worthless huntsman who doesn't even help you at all when it comes to apprehending the poachers. Plus, in this ending, Henry won't become the Talmberg huntsman, meaning we will lose out on a free home and the license to hunt in the woods without it being considered poaching. So this is the ending I planned on going with, since I had explored every ending in my first playthrough through a bit of creative saving and loading. But I ran into a major snag during my investigation, failing a speech check with Margaret that would have allowed me to meet with Hare. And in my frustration, I ended up doing away with Margaret and failing the quest. So might as well just do away with her husband as well. I guess that's one way to get the worst ending. Before we tackle the rest of the main story, I want to dive into Johanka's questline in the Woman's Lot DLC. This quest actually has an insane amount of player choice and consequence, which also affords a lot of opportunity for Bald Henry to be the bad boy. So this section will probably be the longest part of the video. Johanka has been experiencing visions from Mary, Mother of Jesus, in her dreams, so she asks us to aid her in spreading her message to the townfolk in Sasau. One of our first tasks is to convince Taylor Ambrose to stop gambling by making him lose money in a drunken game of dice. My initial plan was to take him for all he's worth and then refuse to give the money back to his wife, but this dude is a dice god, and he ended up completely rinsing me for over 3,000 groschen. Like, bro, what is up with the dice game in KCD? The NPCs have insane luck. Homeboy just kept rolling triples in basically every single round. I just couldn't compete with that. So this ended up working out as the worst ending anyway, because the Taylor is clearly never going to stop gambling at this rate. But I couldn't just abide by losing all that money, so sadly, the Taylor had to go.
Oh no.
I went to see the tailor's wife, like you wanted.
Oh, and how did it go?
I'm afraid Ambrose met with a tragic accident.
Mary, Mother of God. That's awful. For the love of God, what did he ever do to deserve it?
I also discovered that permadeath in Kingdom Come Deliverance isn't really a thing for a lot of NPCs. For certain characters, whenever you kill them, they just respawn in the game a few days later, which can lead to some hilarious Twilight Zone style moments.
I know, but I've got other things on my mind. I'm in mourning for my husband. Please, leave me to my grief.
Take care.
But we're not done disappointing Johanka just yet. We recover a stash of groschen for a merchant, but then keep it for ourselves instead of allowing him to make a donation to benefit the people. We also fail to convince Adela to leave the bathhouses and turn away from her life of sin. Finally, we managed to score an achievement for committing every possible sin that Johanka could count, and I'm just gonna let this whole conversation play out because quite frankly, it's hilarious.
Henry, there's one more thing I'd like to talk to you about. Another sinner came to me looking for help. Would you take care of that?
Of course. I'll help you with whatever you need. What's it about this time?
This time it's about you.
Me?
Everyone sins, Henry, and you're no exception.
What the hell are you talking about?
About you and your deeds. Don't imagine you're without blame.
I'm a good person. Not some criminal or good for nothing.
And aren't you putting yourself above others now? That's the sin of pride, Henry. No one is entirely without sin, but we must do penance and make amends.
I did a lot of good too, you know.
I know, Henry. I'm not condemning you. I'm just saying you should acknowledge your sins and make amends.
But what sins do you mean?
You yourself should know best what you have on your conscience. And another thing. You have coveted thy neighbour's wife.
Oh. That's the pot calling the kettle black. You've forgotten about the custodian in a hurry, haven't you?
But that was something different. And unlike you, I'm ashamed of it and sorry I did it. It's also been said that you've been fornicating with prostitutes. You should be ashamed.
I'm not going to discuss that with you. What I do, with whom, is my business.
If that's how you want it, fine. Haven't you ever killed anyone, Henry?
No.
Really? You told me about that battle.
Alright, I killed that bastard runt, and I'd do it again. For Skalitz, and for everything else he did. Never before did I want to hurt someone so much, and it felt great smashing that evil face of his. And I'm not done yet. I'll find that Markwart von Aulitz, and when I'm done with him, even the demons in hell will feel sorry for him.
Mary, Mother of God! Such rage and hatred! You mustn't let it take control of you. Where there is anger, there is the devil.
I'll kill that whoreson if it's the last thing I do.
God have mercy. And apart from Runt, have you ever killed someone? You told me about that murderer, but you didn't really have a choice there. But otherwise?
I'm sorry. Runt wasn't the only one. Things just got out of hand.
You did terrible things. All those people. Innocent people. How could you? Such grave sins. And from what I've heard, you've been light-fingered on occasion.
What?
They say you're a thief, Henry. Who'll take anything that isn't nailed down.
If I ever took anything from anyone, it's because they were dishonest themselves. They deserved it.
That's not for you to judge, is it?
But it is. I serve the royal hetman. Making judgments like that is my duty.
Even so, stealing is a sin, and you can't blame others for your own mistakes.
Nah.
And I heard you've been locked up in the jailhouse more than once. It's a wonder you're here at all now and not rotting in the stocks.
Well...
That's not something that happens to honest folk, is it? What do people think of you?
A real man should have rough edges.
No, a real man should have some common sense. Henry, killing another human being is no trivial thing. And you did other bad things too. You can't just wave it all away. You have to unburden your soul and repent of all your bad deeds.
I said I was sorry, didn't I?
That's nowhere near enough. You have to undertake a pilgrimage of penance. On the way, you'll have plenty of time to meditate on your sins. Go to Ujits. There's a Marian church there. Put on a penitent's robe and walk barefoot as a sign of humility.
Can't I just ride there?
Certainly not. You have to do penance, not your horse.
Well, I ain't doing this whole repentance thing, but Henry does have to donate 1,200 groschen to Father Godwin to proceed. And bro, I couldn't even pickpocket it back afterwards. We also had to donate another 940 to the Inquisitor to represent Johanka since I failed the speech checks. Oh man, dude, Henry is getting absolutely fleeced by the church in this quest. So anyhow, Johanka ends up getting put on trial for heresy. Bald Henry will represent her in the proceedings, so what could possibly go wrong? Are you ready to see the worst trial ever?
I will first hear the testimony of Father Fabian, who sent me word of this matter, and who should best know what deeds are done in his parish.
Johanka claims that she has received visitations from Our Lady, the Holy Mother of God, who speaks to her in the night. It is an outrageous claim that I hold to be entirely untrue.
If I may, Monsignor, the Virgin Mary really does speak to Johanka.
Is that so? And on what do you found this claim?
It couldn't be the devil. Well, there are lots of chickens around the monastery, and cocks crowing all the time, which everyone knows drives the devil away.
Nonsensical old wives' tales. Let me not hear anything like that again on sacred ground, or anywhere else. You yourself are a fine example of how easily people fall for all sorts of fallacies.
You see, Monsignor, how she leads people astray. Stupidity and ignorance have been blooming since Johanka fertilized them with her heresy.
Yes, unfortunately.
Although, I did recently get reports that there were members of the Waldensians sect hiding in the province.
Waldensians? So there have been heretics concealed here. So, it cannot be ruled out that Johanka also associated with them. Perhaps they are even behind this matter, too.
Nothing serious happened, though. Fellas punching each other in the mouth. If you'll excuse me, monsieur, that happens all the time. But there's one thing that you should know. And that's that this Henry here tried to bribe me to put in a good word for Johanka.
Is that so? That's a very serious accusation.
But that was just a misunderstanding. I never bribed anyone.
I don't doubt the bailiff's judgment. A man in his position surely knows a bribe when he sees it.
And she herself is a sinner. And an adulterer, a loose woman she is, who goes with anyone. And even fornicated with the custodian, Sir Sebastian.
All right, Katra. That will be all. I have also heard rumors of Johanka's immorality that cannot be ignored. Bring here the Sassar custodian, Sir Sebastian von Berg. I have been told that you have shared your bed with Johanka. Is it true?
Monsignor, with respect, this is surely some mistake. Johanka is not a bad girl, and by no means a heretic.
Noted. Now please answer my question. Did you share your bed with Johanka or not?
Yes. But she's not...
Silence! So, Johanka not only incites rebellion against the nobles, but also seduces them into sin and immorality.
That kind of thing goes on all the time. On every farm there's some maid who's obliged to let the farmer fuck her, and under every castle wall there's a wench or two who has a child with the local lord.
Enough! Do not abase these proceedings with your tavern talk.
Monsignor, please permit me to say one more thing. I heard some wise words at a sermon in Skalitz, and I think I should share them here. They laughed at Christ and refused to believe he was the Son of God. And they laugh at Johanka too, and don't believe the Virgin Mary speaks to her.
You're putting Johanka on the same level as Christ?
Well, sort of. In a way.
You talk here about things you know nothing about, trying to pass ignorance off as wisdom. You might fool an ignoramus, but you yourself are one. Enough of this. Johanka, do you wish to revise the answers you gave earlier? Or do you stand by what you said?
I stand by everything I told you.
So be it.
And I did the right thing. The Virgin Mary visited me again in my cell and showed me new things. Monks and prelates who took off their robes and put on princely cloaks instead. They threw down their staves, buckled on swords, and placed crowns on their heads. They rejected Christ's example and hoarded wealth for themselves. They paid no heed to the people, but only gave them absolution for money and...
Silence! You will not speak like that. I have already heard more than enough.
So yeah, Johanka ends up getting declared a heretic and getting her tongue cut out. Things don't end well for her and Matthias.
Despite her suffering, Johanka remained faithful to her conviction. Brother Nicodemus tried to heal her terrible wounds, but in vain. Her cruel punishment was too much to endure. Matthias never lived to hear of Johanka's fate. Soon afterwards, he succumbed to his sickness. Although it's forbidden to bury a heretic in consecrated ground, we lay Johanka and Matthias to rest together, side by side, in a place where I hope they will finally find peace. As Brother Nicodemus said, surely God will forgive us for following our hearts.
After failing Johanka in every way imaginable, we double back to the main quest. Henry fails to save Esther for that dude Florian, and we eventually end up infiltrating the monastery to eliminate Pius in an effort to find the bandit camp. After getting a tour of the facility, Henry starts making friends with the other novices.
No, I'm sure of it. It's you. A cowardly, filthy rat. A nasty, spineless piece of shit.
No, I never. It was Siskin. It's him you want, not me. Leave me alone. I never done you any harm.
When I find him, I'll kill him.
Hail Mary, Mother of Grace. Go away. Go away. Leave me alone and never speak to me again. I don't want to hear such terrible talk.
You're talking about killing in the monastery. I really should report it.
Listen to me, you worthless shit. You'll be keeping your mouth shut. Otherwise, you can count on me to do away with you first.
I thought better of you, Gregor. You're just a common killer, a wolf in sheep's clothing.
If you so much as open your mouth about this...
Then what? You think you can threaten me? You'd better watch yourself, Gregor. You don't know me at all.
Naturally, Henry ends up getting kicked out of the monastery on the second day, so we break back into the building at night in an effort to complete our assassination contract. And since we don't know who Pius really is, we might as well just kill all of the novices just to be safe.
What the hell have you done? I'll have to report this, you know.
Where's that murder? Now I've got you, you shit. You'll be damn sorry for committing murder. Personally, I'd rather string you up. But unfortunately, all I can do is throw you in jail.
And that lands us another prison sentence. After getting out of jail and locating the camp, Henry gets captured by Istvan before gaining some help from an unlikely source. Zbyszek helps get us out of the camp in exchange for some rewards. But in the end, the bastard of Bohemia rats him out.
Zbyszek is a mill hand from Skalitz. When I went back there, I found him robbing the dead and he called his bandit mates on me. It was his fault they nearly killed me. He joined Toth's men. And now he thinks that just because he helped me once, everything he did will be forgiven. He's expecting to get paid. But but he's sorely mistaken. He's a traitor and a murderer who deserves to hang.
Swine. You swine! This is what I get for sticking out my neck for you! I'll kill you, you cunt!
Henry, I must say I'm a little confused.
Let me go, you bastard! I'm innocent! I saved his life!
Scum!
Well then, lock him up!
You'll pay for this! My lord will slaughter you all like sheep! You don't stand a chance in hell! Leave me alone! Let me go, you
Let's make an example of him. Put anyone else off the idea of banditry. I'll tell the executioner.
Well, that's not exactly how the law works.
Well, how does the law work these days? Not very well from what I've seen. And I'm not wasting food on criminals while we try to find someone to try them. Besides, it'll be good to show the common folk that we're taking action.
True enough.
It's debatable whether this is the worst choice, but Zbyszek did help us escape, even if it was for his own selfish motivations, so it seems wrong to just double-cross him there at the end. The rest of the main story is a linear jaunt without any significant variations, so I think this is a good place to wrap up the video. In this playthrough, Henry ended up stealing over 11,000 groschen and ended up spending over 60 days in jail across 9 different jail sentences. Whoo boy, I've never seen Henry behave so badly. How about you? I look forward to continuing Bald Henry's journey in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, which is coming up very, very soon at this point. So there you have it. I made every bad choice in Kingdom Come Deliverance, so you don't have to. If you liked this video, be sure to subscribe to Big Dan Gaming for more bad decisions and RPG videos. Big shout out to all the channel members for supporting my content. Until next time, this has been Big Dan. I should go.